All right, let me ask you something. What if the real secret to becoming a legend was just boring? I know, it sounds crazy. But today, we're going to dig into this one counterintuitive truth that seems to separate the absolute best from, well, everyone else. Let's do it.
I mean, seriously, think about it for a second. What is the real secret to becoming truly great at something? Whether you're talking about sports or business or even art, we're all constantly looking for that one little edge, right? That magic bullet that's just going to unlock the next level for us. And where do we usually look? Well, typically that search leads us to all this complex stuff. Life hacks, advanced strategies. We kind of just assume that the people at the very top, they must know something we don't. Some secret technique, some hidden knowledge that gives them this totally unfair advantage. But what if that's all just a myth? What if the actual reality of mastery has nothing to do with complexity? What if it's found in something much simpler? Something like the relentless, almost obsessive repetition of the absolute basics. Look, you don't have to take my word for it. The proof is right there in the habits of some of the greatest to ever play the game. So let's take a look at two of the most iconic figures in sports history and see what they did. Okay, first up, we've got the man himself, the one many people consider the GOAT, Michael Jordan. So get this, picture it. Michael Jordan is at the absolute peak of his career, the top of the world, and he hires this elite trainer, Tim Grover. Now, Grover's job is simple, but it's not easy. Take the best player on the planet and somehow make him even better. So, naturally, he shows up with a whole playbook full of advanced, super complex drills, but what Jordan said to him next, nobody saw coming. Jordan looks this world-class trainer right in the eye and says, "I want you to get me back to the basics. I feel like my fundamentals have slipped." Just let that sink in for a second. The best player in the entire world felt that the key to improving was to go all the way back to square one. Insane. And for the next whole month, they did nothing fancy. I mean, nothing. On day one, they worked only on his stance and his footwork. That's it. 15 days into this thing, their entire focus was just on how to hold the basketball correctly. Think about that. They spent a full 30 days just mastering the absolute ABCs of the sport. The same stuff he would have learned as a little kid. And you know what? This wasn't just a Michael Jordan thing. Let's look at another legend, someone famous for just an obsessive, almost mythical work ethic, Kobe Bryant. Kobe's whole philosophy was all about depth over breadth. See, he wasn't interested in having 1,000 different moves in his arsenal. Nope. He just wanted a handful of moves that were so perfected they were completely unstoppable. He actually summed it up perfectly himself, saying, "I would rather be a master of one thing than a jack of 10." So, what was his real superpower? It was his inhuman tolerance for the boring work. Seriously, his famous Mamba workouts, they weren't about flashy, cool-looking drills. They were about hours and hours and hours of repeating the exact same footwork, the same pivots, the same shots, over and over and over again, until it was just pure muscle memory. So, okay, we've seen it with MJ, we've seen it with Kobe. What is the actual principle at play here? What's the core idea that's driving this incredible level of success? Well, it really all boils down to one number, 10,000. Yeah, let's just call this the 10,000 rep rule. And the idea is actually pretty simple, but it's also really profound. Mastering one single move by doing it 10,000 times is so much more powerful than practicing 10,000 different moves just one time, is the ultimate argument for depth over width. And this, right here, brings us to the ultimate paradox of what it means to be a master at something. The real secret is that there is no secret. That's it. The advantage isn't some hidden trick you learn. The real advantage is simply being willing to do the unglamorous, repetitive, fundamental work that almost everyone else thinks is too boring to even bother with. So what does this all mean for you in whatever you're trying to master? Well, the path kind of looks like this. First, you have to figure out what your core fundamentals are. What are the absolute basics in your field? Second, you have to commit to just relentless repetition of those things. And third, and this is for sure the hardest part, you have to learn to actually embrace the boring work, to find real satisfaction in the slow, grinding process of perfecting the basics. Because at the end of the day, that is what separates people. It's not just about raw talent, it's not luck, it's not some secret strategy. It's the commitment to mastering the boring stuff. That's what separates the good from the great. And honestly, the great from the legendary. So I'm going to leave you with this one thought. The road to elite performance, it turns out, is paved with what looks like monotony. The only real question that matters is the one you got to ask yourself. Are you willing to be bored long enough to become truly exceptional?